What's up, everybody? My name's Bryce, aka DubsNotSubs, and welcome back to another episode of the podcast arc. Now, this week, I originally planned to have a guest on. I'm planning to have more guests on as time goes on. Next week, I have Neon, and the week after that, I had Bass. But this week, I was supposed to have Bass, but we had a lot of audio issues to say on my end, because what happened was, I told this, I think last week or a couple weeks ago, my Wi-Fi card on my laptop burned out, so I was having problems with that, and I replaced it with one of those USB connectors, and apparently that didn't work out too well, and it didn't work, and we couldn't get a strong enough connection to be able to talk consistently without it breaking up a lot, so I'm sorry about that. He will be back on, though, just in a couple weeks. I already had Neon to come on next week, and I'm not going to cancel on him, because I already forgot. Like, a while back, he was supposed to get on, and I forgot to have him on. But, anyway, stay tuned for more guests. I plan to have more guests on this show in the future once I get this whole Wi-Fi adapter thing fixed, and hopefully not a problem in the future. It won't be something too major. But anyway, guys, I hope you are having a good week. This week, we are going to be covering the new Shonen Jump series that is coming out. We're going to be covering some censorship things that are coming out, and even a new anime site that you can watch your anime legally for free. So, let's get into that. Anyway, guys, make sure to like, comment, subscribe if you feel I deserved it. But without further ado, let's get into the first section right here, and that is the Jump TOC, and that is Burn the Witch has started serialization, and next issue will have color pages for it, Yorozakura's first anniversary, and for Undead Luck after winning the Sugi manga. Well, and there's also a new series called, what does it say? Hanamira Shonen, which I did not see on the Shonen Jump app, so I'm confused if it's not supposed to be translated in English, or maybe it was just something that I didn't see. Let me check on the Manga Plus app also, but I'll talk about Burn the Witch right now while I'm looking this up. And Burn the Witch, I've never read Bleach before, so I don't really have a idea of what Bleach is supposed to be like, or if this is based on, like, the Bleach world at all, because I think this takes place in London, and I believe Bleach takes place in Japan, and I don't know if there's, like, connections that we'll see, if there's any interactions with that. So all I can talk about is what I've read now, but what I can say is Burn the Witch does make me want to check out Bleach. I do enjoy it. I really like the concept of it. It seems cool. It does, with this only being 4 chapters in total, and that's the entire length of the Burn the Witch series, is going to be a short, limited series. It's good, but it seems like there's a lot of stuff that they didn't, like, build up on or explain, and that might just because you're supposed to already know that stuff because of Bleach, and I would 100% get that, and it's probably my own fault for not reading Bleach first before checking this out. But from this, I really like what the Bleach universe could be. It seems really cool. I want to give it a chance, but since Bass isn't here, let me do what Bass usually would do for the situation. That would be, so Bleach wasn't even in the top 3. The big 3 was made up by America. That wasn't even in Japan. So Bleach wasn't even up there, even close to One Piece or Naruto by that time. And that's what he would say. And he'd also say Bleach is trash. But I have never read it, so I'm not going to say anything. But also, we can see that Jujutsu Kaisen is number 1. One Piece is number 2. You got all your basic big series up there. And from what I saw from the Oricon, which is the manga volumes, like how much those are selling, and for the rankings of that, the only 3 series that ranked were Black Clover, Jujutsu Kaisen, and My Hero Academia, I believe, and that's who had releases. I don't think One Piece released. I don't think Chainsaw Man released either. I don't think Mashley did not get ranked, and none of the other newbies got ranked along with the other stuff. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry about that, but I believe that is what it was. So this shows that while these series are doing decent enough, they're not getting the sales, they're not pulling in the numbers that the other series have had. We'll have to wait for maybe anime adaptations or something to come along to blow it up. We're still waiting for something big. Burn the Witch is not going to be that, and I've said this every time I talk about a new series. Burn the Witch is not going to be the new series for them, obviously, because there's only 4 chapters. So we're going to have to wait for Hanamira Shonen and the other 3 series that are coming out for this. And where is that even ranked on here? I don't even see. Oh, new special. I don't even see it on the TOC, so I'm confused at where that's coming out on. And maybe I'm just confused, or maybe that's supposed to come out next issue, because I thought it was supposed to come out next issue, was the series, because it's supposed to be Burn the Witch, then the other 3 new series that were coming out after were going to show up. But I don't know. We'll see in the future. So that's all I got to say about Shonen Jump. And Burn the Witch is good. I can't wait to see more of what these new series are, and I'm more excited for those than that. So next up, we're going to be talking about manga artist Gino0808, creator of whatever that series is voicing their disdain for manga site owners. When the series is over, they are interested in filing a lawsuit with other parties. It's hard for the artist to draw when they know it will be stolen afterwards. And it says in another tweet, they reiterate they are serious about the matter, even if they know it will probably be a lifelong battle, but that they are not okay with letting this happen. And I completely understand that, because well, it's really discouraging to know you do all this work, you put your life into this series and something like that, and it's your living, it's everything, and just to have it stolen away for free. And people, my biggest problem with scan sites, though, is the people who get all high and mighty about reading scans. It's like, everyone's read scans who's been on manga, for the most part. I almost guarantee you that nobody has, like, there's not a single person out there who's probably never, that's over-exaggerated. There's probably a decent amount of people who's never read any scanlations. I've read scanlations. I've read before I knew about scanlations, what it was when I first started. I've read those not knowing that they were illegal. Like Manga Rock, I didn't know that site was illegal. Like, because I mean, that app was way too good to not seem official. But even after that, I still kept reading a couple series like that. And I think the only justified way you can say that you're reading scanlation is for a series that's only available in Japan. And when you're saying, yes, it takes the market away, but then you have something like A Way of the House Husband, which only got here because of scans and because of outreach. So it's hard to say that 100% of, like, manga or scanlation readers will not buy it, or you can't get that into an actual series. Yes, it hurts sales, and there's way more negatives than there are positives, but when you have a series like this, which isn't in English, and someone reads it, it's like, are they really stealing money from them? Because you can't really take away from a market you're not selling to. Like, English readers aren't going to buy this series because it's not in English. They're never going to even check it out. They might just, their only reason they're reading it is because they randomly saw it on a site, or they heard about somebody else on a scanlation site saying it was good. So, I don't know 100%. I think scanlations just have to go, because it's all or nothing. You can't just have, like, only Japanese ones. Like, only ones that are only in Japanese can stay, because then you have people in Japan pirating it off the original scanlation where they have it non-translated, and then you have that hurting that Japan in itself. So there's no way for scanlation to be positive in any way besides maybe bringing it overseas for people who aren't able to see these series before. But that's just an outsider's perspective on that. I don't know. I just think scanlations do need to go, in my opinion. I think that they hurt the industry more than help the industry. Although we have had some series come over like Way of the House Husband, I just don't see it being an overall positive for the industry. Next up, we have Sesshowa Manga Plus service is to add Britannia Luminaire, and it already has. The first 3 chapters are out, and I'll get into that. This is a spin-off of World End Harem, and this is the 3rd spin-off. There's also World End Harem Fantasia, and I don't know what the other one is, because I think it's only Fantasia, World's End Harem, and then, Fantasia Academy. Okay, so, alright. Anyway, let me get into this. This is the synopsis for it. High school girl Eri has a strong and pure heart. One day, she is suddenly summoned to another world, Britannia, where only men exist. To save this world as a goddess of light, a harsh battle begins in a world full of men. Now, here's what I'm thinking about this. I've read chapter 1, and there's nothing like how World's End Harem is, because what happens in World's End Harem is there's a virus where a certain amount of men are able to be immune to it. There's very few of them, and they get put in cryosleep, and then when they wake up in a world that's only full of women, and they have to repopulate the Earth, because obviously the women can't reproduce, so that's the whole thing with that. And there's a lot more going into it. World's End Harem actually is really good. There's a really cool sci-fi twist, and the story about that is actually really cool. I really like World's End Harem. For an ecchi, it's a lot more than just an ecchi, and I might make a video on that at one point, because it is actually really good, and I highly recommend it. I'm also reading World's End Harem Fantasia, which is also pretty good, but this one is not my thing. It is like the shoujo version of the series, and also it's kind of funny because how are you gonna change this? Is it gonna be like the guys have to repopulate with her, or like what's the concept for this gonna be? Are they gonna throw the whole ecchi part out of it and just bring it all like a shoujo like battle thing where she has some mysterious power and the men need it to reclaim the world? I don't know how this is going to go, but I read chapter 1 and I'm not interested in continuing it, to be honest. I tried to like it and it just was not for me. I wouldn't say it's bad. I'm just saying it seems very shoujo, and I'm not a huge fan of shoujo, like Yona the Dawn, Kimi no Todoke, and there's probably a couple other series that I can't think of at the moment, but I'm very casual with my shoujo reading. There's only certain series that I like those two, and this one was not another series that made me interested enough to want to continue with it. If you like that concept, you might like it, but in my opinion, it was not for me, and I can't recommend it to anybody else that would. If you like Worlds and Harem, I don't think you'll like this series. It does not seem like Worlds and Harem, besides the only concept is it's a girl and then surrounded by guys. There's no, it just was not for me. Like, I did not, the concept was fine, I just was really bored, and I was not interested in that interested in the characters or the world it was, but I don't think the demographic was for me anyway. So, that's all that is about, and next up we're going to be getting on to One Week Friends manga gets overseas live-action project. The September issue of Square Enix Gangan Joker magazine announced on Friday that a live-action project of Macha Hazuka's One Week Friend manga has launched overseas. The magazine will announce more details in the future. That's all they know at the moment. So, I've actually read this entire series. It's 7 volumes in total. It is a 4-coma series about this girl right here who every week her memory resets, and they go to explore like why her memory resets, why she has this happened, and it's basically this guy right here decides to be her friend, even though every week he has to reintroduce himself and re-become friends with her. It's a really good manga, actually. I think the ending's a bit of a cop-out, to be honest, but overall, I think it's actually a really good series, and for a 4-coma, I really liked it. For the most part, it was like 4-coma, and then like for the bigger scenes, it would go like to how a regular manga would be. But overall, I did like this, and I could see it translating very well into a live action because there's not a lot of like CGI and other things like Death Note or the Full Metal Alchemist live action. And when it says overseas, it makes me think of it's going to be done by an American studio or something like that. Like I said, it doesn't say anything more than that, but if it's done by an overseas studio by America, this could be a really good transition point for Japanese manga getting live action adaptations, because there's a ton of slice of life manga that could be translated to live action without having like those problems that the terrible CGI and rush stuff has for it, because this is a short enough series where you could cut certain things out and you could cut a lot of things out with it and still make it seem paced well, still make the characters lovable. And this is something I think that America or overseas companies should focus on, is more slice of life with less of the action, less of like the bigger series, because just because sorry about that, 1 second. Alright, I'm back. I had to go help out with something around the house, and that's why you heard that vibrating. That was my phone. But just because a series is popular doesn't mean it will translate good to a live action. Like Full Metal Alchemist, I don't know how much of the story they covered in there because I never watched it because I heard it was really bad, but it's 27 volumes long. You know how much you're going to have to condense for that? Like the Bleach live action, that's like 73 volumes. There's no way you're going to be able to cover all that or cover anything. Even like one arc's going to take is like 10 to however many volumes they have for like a basic arc. Then you have Death Note, the entire thing. That one maybe, but that's 13 volumes long, and that is so much predicated on the discussions, the mind games that get played, and it needs its proper time to develop. So something like this, which is shorter, and I'm trying to think of other things, something like, what's that? I can never remember the name of it, but I recommended it in my underrated series. I think it was underrated, and it was basically a series. It's like a 3-volume series about this psychologist who goes to a house that he rents out, and then he meets a girl there who has a personality disorder, or seems like there's something wrong with her. It's really good. It's actually like extremely well done, and really makes you think about what is a real life, what is real, what counts as an actual person. 1 second, let me go over here and check. Sickness Unto Death. It's called Sickness Unto Death. It's 2 volumes, and if you've never read that, I 100% recommend that you guys read that because it is so good. It will blow your minds if you like psychological stuff like that, and especially drama, slice of life. It makes you think. The ending is such a good ending, and for a 2-volume series, it blew me away. I found them pre-owned on eBay, and I've never actually found them anywhere else. So, anyway, next up, we have The Flying Dog. It has announced that they've released approximately 3,500 songs from anime soundtracks on Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube Music, and Amazon Music Unlimited, with a few never released before titles, and that is Genesis Climber, Modespa, Megazone 23, and 5-Star Stories. Now, let me go in here and show you the other series that are coming out here, or more prominent series. They have Nor, they have Tsushima Chronicles, Aria the Animation, Apregigo of the Blue Steel, Space Dandy, Amigi, Brilliant Park, and the Kantai Collection have also been included. There's also Spice and Wolf, it looks like. It's just a bunch of different anime soundtracks that are on here. Here's my thing with anime soundtracks. I'm not a huge fan of anime soundtracks because there's a lot more just like classical instrumental stuff. Like, I mean, OPs and endings, don't get me wrong. I love those. Absolutely love them. But I like it when I'm not a huge fan of like classical, atmospheric kind of just like instruments. In that way, I want it to just be more of a basic song. I'm basic like that. I want it to be like rock, pop, rap, anything like that, where there's actual like singing and it's more manufactured. Classical music is just not my favorite. I find it really, really boring. And maybe that's the ADHD in me, but it's what it is. And if you like this kind of stuff, make sure to check it out. It's on Spotify, all that other stuff. I use Spotify, so that's my main thing for that. But my music taste in like for Japanese music or J-rock or any like J-pop, anything like that, or from overseas, I think it's pretty nice. I think it's really good. I've been getting into a lot of J-indie and that stuff. That is, oh my god, it's so good. I love J-indie so much. I've been delving super far into that. Some people like Von D is the only person I can think of at the moment who I've been listening to that does that kind of music, and it's so good. I love J-rock and like all that kind of, and Japanese music is done so well. It's so unique. The fact that I can't understand it in a way makes it brings a different experience than American media or American music, because you can understand the words, so you could hear the lyrics, so you can get what the song's trying to tell, and you can get the meaning behind the song a lot better. Well, when you get something like J-rock is just what I'm going to use for an example, because I keep thinking that right away. You don't understand what they're saying unless you understand Japanese, obviously. So the only thing that you can relate to how the song is how it personally makes you feel. Alright guys, you might be wondering if you're watching this right now why it's not in the normal format it's usually at. And that is because, like I said earlier, my Wi-Fi adapter was messed up, so I was going to get it fixed today, and that was my plan. So I recorded the podcast, and I transferred it over to a flash drive, and apparently, I don't know how this happened, because usually it's all or nothing, but only half of the podcast got rendered over or transferred over onto the flash drive, and I know the full thing was done, and I had the finished product, so I found that out as I was going to upload it on my backup laptop that I have here, or my really old laptop that I have. It's definitely nowhere as close to as good as what my new one is, but when you don't have a choice, you don't have a choice, and what I found out is it only had half of it, so now here I am re-recording the second half of this, so I'm sorry if I am a little quick. I'm going to hopefully try my best to not run through things like I've already done it before, but we'll get back into it. It's not going to be a problem. I'm sorry about all this craziness that's going on. I was really stressed out today because that really made me mad, because yeah, I don't want to go too off on that tangent, but it really stressed me out that it wasn't working, and it was really did not make my day any better. But I don't remember exactly where I was talking about or where I left off at the Flying Dog announcement thing. So basically, I'll just quickly summarize my points, which was I don't know if I'm going to check it out myself because I'm not a huge fan of anime soundtracks. I prefer just like openings and endings and things that are just more like typical music. I'm not a huge fan of classical music. So that's all I have to say about that. And the other ones, just in case I didn't list it, I will quickly say that, major albums on there does not help me. So the Noir soundtracks is on there. I believe Amagi, A Brilliant Park is on there, and then there's also Spice and Wolf. There's Tsushima Chronicles, Aria the Animation. There is also Kantai Collection and Apregio of the Blue Steer, along with a ton of different other ones that are out there. Just look up Flying Dog. I wonder if Flying Dog, if you looked it up on Spotify, I'll do that right now, just to check to see if, because I believe they're already up. Yeah, it's already announced on everything. So if I look up Flying Dog, I wonder if that's under the label or if that's just the label that they're under and they all have their original names or as like, yeah, okay. So if you just look up a bunch, whatever album you want to, I will leave a link in the description to their release thing that, or the link that shows all their releases for that. But anyway, we'll get on to our next article, and that is Netflix is to stream the new episodes of Wit Studios' The Great Pretender anime in Japan on September 21st. So the official Twitter account for Wit Studios' original television anime series The Great Pretender has announced on Wednesday that Case 4, episodes 15 through 23 of the anime will premiere on Netflix in Japan on September 21st. The account teases that Case 4 is titled The Wizard of the Far East. I don't want to say any more about that as to spoilers, and let me go down to the synopsis, and that is right here. Makoto Edamura is supposedly Japan's greatest swindler. Together with his partner Kudo, they try to trick a Frenchman in Asakusa, but unexpectedly get tricked instead. The Frenchman whom they try to swindle turns out to be Laurent Theory, a much higher level confidence man in control of the mafias. Edamura is yet to find out what fate awaits him after having engaged in the Frenchman's dirty jobs. Now, if you have not checked this out, it is on Netflix. The first part of this is out. Please do yourself a favor and check this out. I've talked about this in so many podcasts when I first heard this was announced. I'm saying this is going to be big. And from what I've seen, I think I've seen the first 4 episodes of it. It is so good. The way they try to con people and they try to, like, the first arc is about them trying to get in, like, to sell a bunch of fake drugs in Hollywood, and is so cool. There's so much mind games going on. It's so wacky. It's so good. Which studio did Attack on Titan, so you know the animation quality is good. The directors behind the animes of Hozaki's Cool Headedness, My Little Monster, and 91 Days. And it is also, the character designer is Yoshiyuki Sadamoto, and if you guys think that name is familiar, that is because they did the characters designs for Evangelion and Fooly Cooly, and you can definitely see that when you look into the actual anime, and it is so good. Like, trust me, everybody, if you need an anime to watch and you're unsure and, like, summer anime has been a little bit disappointing, check this out. Watch it in English. Please watch the dub. Trust me, if you got annoyed in Japan Sinks when that one kid kept speaking English, it's like that, but it happens a lot more often, and you could tell that these Japanese speakers don't speak any English because it seems so unnatural for them to be talking about, like, speaking in the English language, so it really throws you out of the story. So watch it in the dub. The setting takes place in America anyway for the first part. So if you're gonna go like one of the subs arguments is it happens in Japan, so you have to have them talk like that because it makes the most sense. Well, now they're in America, so watch the dub because it's really good and the dub's actually really well done. I love this series. The character design, the story, so action-packed, and the opening is absolutely fantastic. The ending is done by Freddie Mercury, and it's a cover of The Great Pretender, or that's the song he sings, and it's a cover of a different song called The Great Pretender. But I don't personally like The Great Pretender song. Like, I don't like that song. But it fits really well for the theme of the show, and it looks really nice. Animation, character-wise, acting, pacing from what I've seen so far is absolutely so good and phenomenal. My first impressions are so good, and I might make a video on this if I end up loving it that much because it needs to get this love, because as much as I love it, I don't see that many people talking about it, and so many people are missing out on it. And so if you have not gotten your chance to check it out, check it out. So next up, we're going to get on to Bleacher Report launches. Okay, 1 second. Bleacher Report launches NBA playoff coverage with Cowboy Bebop opening. Warner Media Sports news and culture site Bleacher Report is kicking off its coverage of the NBA playoffs with a throwback to Cowboy Bebop. The website posted an animated video showcasing the players set in the style of the classic anime's opening sequence and set to Yoko Kanno's and the Seatbelts tank. Then this shows all of the all the NBA players in there. It's just the opening, but they switch Spike, Faye, all the other characters with the NBA playoff characters. Obviously you guys can't see it anyway, but it's good. Like, it's a decent nod to Cowboy Bebop. The animation is definitely a lot better in the original, but what I wanted to showcase in this was how popular anime and manga is becoming. That is becoming widespread enough to where they're putting it into promotional material. Now, the more you're seeing it more and more in media today, you're seeing anime getting referenced for marketing commercials, references, and just more everyday people are reading it. Like you saw Kanye show a bunch of mechas. You see like Elon Musk talking about Full Metal Alchemist. It is starting to become so widespread and commonplace that anime and manga is just flooding the world. And I'm so happy to be in a time where we are seeing this kind of medium become normalized and just it's no longer weird. I was never in that era of, whoa, you're watching anime, you had to be like that underground anime fan, you had to hide about it, because luckily I went to a private school, and not to sound like crazy narcissistic, but I was like one of the more popular kids at the school. I don't want to sound like I think I'm all of that, but I didn't really have you guys know what I mean. I had a lot of friends there. I don't know what to say without making myself sound like an asshole. But yes, I never had to experience that, thankfully. So I never know truly what it's like to get made fun of for watching anime and manga. I do a little bit, because when you obviously showcase it, there's still people nowadays like, ew, why do you watch that weird Japanese stuff? What are you, a freak? You a pedophile? Because they think of like lollies, and I'll get into that more later on. But yeah, I'm really happy to see that we're finally getting into an era where anime and manga is just widely spread, known, accepted, and people aren't going to have to hide it for that much longer. Or not hide it at all anymore. You really don't have to, because you're going to of course, have those naysayers, but we're finally getting to an era where us weebs it's our time, guys. It's the weebs' time. So, next up, we are going to get into a new... Okay, one second, let me pause this so it doesn't play the audio. But a new channel on YouTube is going to translate anime officially for free. It is called Anilog. A link will be in the description. Check it out, because you are going to be able to watch... I don't know every anime that's coming out because they haven't announced it, and I don't know if they have an actual separate site. They probably do, so you can look that up on your own, but... Analog, they so far only have Baki and a bunch of promotional stuff, and I didn't get a chance to watch the promotional things with all the hell I had to go through with my laptop. But this is so cool for the anime industry. You know, like back in those days where people had to go watch anime on here, pirate it through YouTube and go watch like 480p like subs of things. Now we're going to get official anime subs on here, and it's for free, so this will be great for newcomers and anime fans who don't necessarily want to pay for Funimation or Crunchyroll. They can just go on YouTube, see a video, and watch it. If they like it, they can continue watching it on YouTube for free, and that might progress them into getting more and more into this kind of stuff. And I cannot wait to see what kind of stuff they have to showcase. It seems like it might be old. Actually, as I quickly scrubbed through this trailer they have, I can't 100% tell, but I think I saw ReZero in there. And it looks like it has everything from new and old anime on here, just quickly scrubbing through the trailer that they have, and I'll check it more, and next week I'll probably come back with a better insight on that and just follow up and see what's really going on with it. And they're posting a lot of videos right now, so also if you want to check out Baki, you can go watch it for free now on Analog. They have episodes 1 through 9, it looks like right now, and yeah, that's all there is to that. Definitely check that out. Make sure to subscribe, and it costs you nothing. You might have to watch an ad before it, but hey, no complaints for me. If free anime is free anime. I'll watch a 5-second ad and skip it. But anyway, for the next story, we have that. Let's get into this. It's an online petition for Shonen Jump to put a content warning for sexual violence in Shonen Jump magazines and certain volumes. So there's a Change.org petition that says, "We boys are not wolves. Shonen Jump should distinguish between eroticism and sexual violence," concluded on Friday after collecting over 4,000 signatures in just over a week. The campaign organizer, a man named Manabu Sekiguchi, demanded that weekly Shonen Jump should include content warnings or explanatory notes in panels containing sexual violence. He also demanded for Jump to survey its readers about their sexual education in order to create expressions of sexuality that can be properly grasped by the audience. in the campaign's description, in this one right here in this paragraph, he talks about how he read To Love Ru, and then he showed it to one of his friends in college, and his friend found it distasteful, and now he realizes how distasteful he thought it was. I've never read To Love Ru, so I don't know what really goes on it. Then he, in the next chapter, or the next paragraph, he talks about the non-existent youth bill, which is supposed to be protecting underage drawings of girls, meaning that they can't draw underage girls in sexual ways. And that ultimately didn't pass, and he says that when he went to school, that Sekiguchi claims that he was not able of making the distinction himself. He recounts a time from elementary school when a group of boys sexually harassed some girl, and he did not speak up, saying boys will be boys, and that boy later got expelled for taking photos of girls while they were bathing. And then, as an adult, Sekiguchi now believes that the non-consensual sexual elements in Shonen Jump were not created by people who clearly understood the difference between fantasy and reality, but rather that they are the manifestation of the general lack of sexual education in society. And then he goes on about he doesn't want it to look like books to be written like sexual education or educational material. But I want to get into this, and I hopefully will say the right things, because I'm not condoning sexual violence, but my biggest thing with this is I don't really mind putting a warning against that in manga if they're going to put a stamp on the front or something like that. I'm not really against it. I could see why that would be helpful or whatever. But my biggest thing with that, if you put a stamp on a manga and it says sexual violence on it or something like that, what happens when Barnes & Noble, Amazon, or some other big company sees that? You already seen Australia ban a bunch of manga for stuff that is arguably maybe not even bad. I have not seen all those series, but not all of them. Some of the ones I read I didn't think were as bad enough to get banned. But what counts as sexual violence would be my second question. Does it count as when they have the joke in Shonen Jump where someone like runs into the girl and like runs into her breast or like trips over and accidentally grabs her breast or something like that? Or is it something more? Again, I've never read To Love Ru, so I don't know, because that's the example they use, and I've never read it, so I can't really speak on that. But what are they talking about sexual violence and counts as, I believe, eroticism or sexual violence? And then also in the article they also bring up the Act Age manga artist, which that doesn't have anything to do with the manga. The artist the writer, not the artist. The writer himself did those acts outside of the manga, and I don't believe in the manga there was anything along the lines of sexual violence or anything like that from what I know about Act Age and what it was. But I don't know what that has to do with the manga itself. And also, he calls the thing we boys are not wolves. He also brings up the point that men can't distinguish between fantasy and reality in this article. He also says that the artists themselves cannot do that. And then that's when the site of the Act Age manga artist gets brought up. And then you also have other instances of Ryori Kenshin, I think Toriko. That one I questionable. I don't know exactly, but I think that one also had something to do with underage kids. Don't quote me on that last one, but I do think that is also like that. But he's taking these these heinous things, something not defendable in any way, but he's saying that and says it's everything. It's like you take one bad person and then just generalize the entire group as that. That's not how it works. You can't just say, oh, well, he did, the Act Age artist did it, so that means Horikoshi's the same thing. He can't distinguish fantasy and reality. That's why Oda Sensei can't do it in One Piece. Like, that's not how it works. You can't just say that because there are a couple bad people that every single person that is there has that same mindset. I just don't get that as an argument point. And again, the whole PR thing, I went way down a rabbit hole, but the whole PR thing with Barnes & Noble and stuff like that with that stamp on it, what happens when somebody goes in there, sees that, and gets really outraged and starts a whole problem with something that may not even be that bad? Then what's going to happen with Barnes & Noble? They're not going to care enough to keep that thing in stock. They're just going to take it off the shelves and not sell it anymore because they are going to not want to deal with that PR nightmare, and that would progress into more and more manga. I always have a fear of, is this their final goal? Do they just want a warning on there? I don't think that's what they really want also. I think that if they get the warning, they're going to want more censorship. And if they get more censorship, they're going to want more censorship. And it's going to get to the point where they keep on taking and taking and taking until everything is not okay. and you're not going to ever be able to have any kind of sexual kind of content in the manga. And that's one of the best parts about manga, and one of my favorite reasons that I read this medium is not because of sexual violence. It's not what I'm saying. Is that it's the freedom that the manga artist has to create their story any way they want, to put any kind of subject they want, and to do all this stuff in their manga the way they want to without having to have someone lord over them and tell them, to a certain degree. You guys know, there's some things that go way off the deep end and that I'm not even comfortable reading, but that they get to create stories that they truly want and that truly create something extremely impactful. I'm trying to think of a story that's really dark that maybe wouldn't count. Like, maybe something like Vinland Saga. I could see maybe... Actually, no, that's just really just only gory. Maybe something like Dead Man Wonderland, or... I'm trying to look over my manga shelf to see if there's anything specifically. Sickness Under Death. I believe there is, like... It's 2 college students, so they're... Okay. Sickness Under Death, I recommend you guys reading if you haven't. I don't remember if I said that in this podcast or if it got cut out last time I was talking about it, but read Sickness Under Death if you haven't. Or something maybe like Boarding School Juliet, or... You get my point. There's tons of manga that stretch what they can do and maybe do things a little bit risque, but because they put a little bit of risk in it, and because it's a little bit edgy, it makes it all the more interesting to read. It makes it all the more engaging and awesome for it. That does not mean saying I'm okay with sexual violence, and I think there are times in manga where it does go too far and it's uncomfortable to read, but also to counter that point is I don't really know a lot of Shonen Jump series that do that. Depending on, like, when I'm thinking of sexual violence, I'm trying to think of, like, stuff that goes phenomenally, like, way too far. Not something like the boob grab or something like that. It's something beyond that. And I don't really know if Shonen Jump has that, because Shonen Jump is curated towards high school and below. So they don't really have super edgy things in there besides something like Chainsaw Man. And besides that, like, Black Clover... My Hero Academia, even Jujutsu Kaisen, which is a little bit darker. Jujutsu Kaisen, I don't really think has really much fan service in it at all for that. And Jujutsu Kaisen is going to get there's going to be a video this week. If I can still get it up with this backup laptop and be able to record and everything, there will be a Jujutsu Kaisen video this week because I want to talk about it. But I don't really know, like, what sexual violence there is. Obviously, To Love Ru, I don't know. And maybe they're talking about the lolly thing because To Love Ru has lollies in it, and that's a huge thing of controversy within the manga and anime community. And it's really hard to defend at times with something like Air Manga Sensei or something that really fantasizes that kind of drawing or character. But that doesn't mean all lollies are bad. Something like Yotsuba, Sweetness and Lightning, even Tagami Baki, which is a Shonen Jump series that has a lolly in it, it can be done right in a way that doesn't make it, like, over-sexualized. So do I agree with putting a warning on there? Maybe. Like, I just am not a... Yes, I would if you, like, put it on the Shonen Jump app and be like, oh, warning, something like this. But I don't really see a point for that because they're just going to want more. That's just my biggest fear about this is once they start taking, once you give someone an inch, people take a mile. So I always have, maybe there's some bad in there and there's stuff that not anybody is able to differentiate, and because people can tell fantasy from reality. Otherwise, every person who played video games is a murderer. That's a point that's been run to the ground so many times. People know the difference between fantasy and reality. Like, I'm trying to think, what instance is there something like that where the only reason someone did something like that is because of this kind of thing? And he says that he wasn't able to tell the difference. And maybe there are people out there, but from what I've seen and the people I've met in the community, even if they say something like lollies or whatever, like bring up lollies or something like that, they're able to differentiate what's real and what's fake, what's a drawing, what's animation, and what's real. I don't really want to get into lollies because I do find it a bit uncomfortable at times, and some of the things they do is a bit too far, and I don't really 100% agree with all the lolly things that get out there. But without rambling on too hard, I hope you guys understand the point I'm making. I do not condone sexual violence in any way or in any show for that, but I have a fear of censorship going too far, and I'm not 100% opposed to this, but I just can't see this being all they want if this is what they get. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you feel that I deserved it. I'm sorry about this really scuffed podcast. Hopefully it'll get fixed, especially when my laptop comes back, but I will figure things out. We will get it fixed. We will keep on going. Be ready for a Jujutsu Kaisen video, probably Friday. I'm going to start uploading Fridays for the most part. Be ready for a good time. I hope you guys all have a good rest of your week. And as always, Neon's coming on next week too, before I forget to say that. I think I said it at the beginning, but just in case. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you feel that I deserved it. And as always, Dubs Not Subs.